I think earlier you called yourself a startup guy, right? Is that the term you used? Now, if you could just take a little step back here.
Sure.
And because this is one of the issues that we will discuss at Transmission in 2011, I really want to find out from you, it's a bit of a broad question, but just looking at the creative industries, what are the main challenges right now for an entrepreneur to bring their product or their idea to market?
Ideas without executions are hobbies. And I think a lot of people think it's easy to do fill in the blank. And the reality is you have to want it really bad. You have to be willing to get up earlier and stay later than everybody else. You make the assumption the product is good. In other words, that's a given. If the idea is not good, when I advise entrepreneurs or startups or musicians for that matter, my first question to them is, what do you want this to look like? Help me understand the vision. Help me understand what you want out of it. And then let's talk about how you're going to accomplish those things. It's amazing when you give somebody a to-do list how few people actually do it. So I think the biggest challenge to me in any business, doesn't matter what it is, the creative world or fill in the blank, is the actual follow-up, the actual ability to execute. Tons of great ideas, not a lot of great execution.
So let's assume there's someone with a great idea and someone else feels he or she will be able to execute it right. And maybe there's a sort of investment happening. This could be maybe from an individual or from an organization or from the government, whoever.
Yeah.
How can that entrepreneur make sure that the investment doesn't change the product, doesn't compromise the getting to the last step, and doesn't basically stays true to the vision of its product?
Well, I think the reality is, that's a loaded question. That's part of the initial question. What do you want out of this? So, if you're going to start a company, or if you're going to start a band, or if you want to be Kanye West, if you want to be a star, there's a path to that, and that path has several stops along the way, right? If you want to be Over the Rhine, who you may or may not have ever heard of, that's a much different path, right? Because Over the Rhine has set out to make a living making music on their terms. Kanye West set out to be a star. And to me, those are very different models, and they require different steps. Some of them are the same. At the core, the music has to be great. It has to, it has to reach from the ear to the heart. Yeah. That is a fundamental, right? Beyond that, the path to those two objectives are extremely different. And I tell people, who come to me in the context of, would you invest in my company? I would like to start a business. My first question is always, what does the end look like? Are you building a company to exit it? Because that's like signing a record deal. Because if you're going to do that, it's going to require a different set of building blocks, and it will have a different exit. I didn't set out to build a company to sell it. That wasn't originally my objective. It turns out it became the objective in a way, quite frankly, accidentally. Knowing what I know today, I'll have a very distinct choice to make if and when I start another company. And that is, do I want to exit it? Because if I want to exit it, I'll take venture money. If I don't want to exit it, if I want to build a lifestyle business or a business that I may want to do for the rest of my life, I'm certainly not going to take outside money. Because as soon as you take the first outside dollar, you have guaranteed an exit. That money will not sit and wait. It will want to be freed from the confines of the business.
And therefore the business has to be sold on somehow.
Yeah, it has to be exited somehow.
And you make an interesting correlation here between a record label deal, a Kanye West type record label deal,
It's the same.
and a business that will want to sell.
the venture business is eerily identical to the record business.
Can you explain that a little bit more?
Well, I mean, pretty simply, when you look at the record company model, it's throw 10 things against the wall and assume that 8 of them will do way worse than you'd hope they'd do. So a couple of those might break even. You know, you might get a sustainable career out of that. Most of them will fall and do nothing. Most of them will be fill in the blank. I mean, I have, there's a band right now in Nashville called El Macho, which is comprised of 3 veterans. The 2 most notable are a woman named Butterfly Boucher, who's an Australian who had a song called Another White Dash, and everybody thinks she, you know, that was like nirvana for her when she got her record deal. Well, the reality is she was one of those that fell, even though she's immensely talented. And David Mead, same deal, you know, immensely talented, smart pop, killer. I mean, I still go back and listen to those records he made, and they've got this new band, and they're the casualties of that business model. The 2 that worked at RCA paid for the 8 that didn't. Mm-hmm. That's the venture business. Mm-hmm. You make 10 investments, 2 pay, hopefully big, and 8, 2, 3 break even, where you get your bait back, and the rest of them are generally not that successful. And I've seen both. I've participated in companies that had extraordinary exits, my own, and then as a board member on privately held entities that were then sold on to AOL as an example. And I have also watched really great ideas die in the hands of their founders. Mm-hmm. And you know, it's really pretty much the record business. It's just another version.
Now, I think we kind of touched upon how the recording industry, as well as many other content industries, have kind of lost control over their content. Mm-hmm. And whether that's good or bad, that, you know, everyone's got their opinion on that. But do you see that the government needs to step in, or the governments, I should say, need to step in to change legislation to make businesses viable again, or control certain aspects of those industries?
Well, I mean, I think that I have an unpopular view of this. I think egregious offenders should be dealt with. In other words, I think if you are just absolutely out of your mind and you're gathering up big chunks of content and then redistributing them, I just don't think that's. I think we have to police the highway, quote unquote. But I think the reality is that we trained the consumer early, and now we want to put the horse back in the barn, and it's just not going to happen. Mm-hmm. And at the same time, the UI, the user interface, the experience of the consumer, that iPad, the 60 up crowd is adopting that piece of technology at a really nice rate. And the reality is that it's become less, it's easier to just pay than it is to steal. And so when people say, well, what do you mean we have to innovate our way out of it? Well, exactly. Make it easier. You know, I was there when they rolled out the iTunes Music Store. I'm a Jobs fanboy. I sat 5 rows from Steve when he made this presentation, and the first slide he had on his deck was, you know, people who want to steal are going to steal. We have to provide a compelling alternative to free.